Now that my animations are out and about, you get to see the main cast's models look the best they ever have. But what if I told you that once upon a time, they didn't look so good, and in fact, they used to look bad? Well, in today's video, we are going to be looking at the past versions of all my main cast character models. So we get to see Red when he first became a 3D character, Koi, Solace, Finn and Frogo. So let's dive in and see how far I've actually came. Okay, let's start off with our fearless boy, Koi. This was Koi when I first designed him way back in 2020. Now, 2020 might not seem that long ago, given that it was like the start of COVID and everything. However, 5 years have passed since Koi was made, debuted, and even thought of as a character. And, well, this is where he started. Let's check out his finer details, of which, quite frankly, there are none. So, he always had the basic design. He was always a Koi, and that was it. He's got soulless eyes, a gaping maw, 2D fins that are just so undesigned, honestly. What was I thinking? And then very, very basic and mismatched shorts. I don't know why there's like an orange gradient. I genuinely think this wasn't a design choice. It was just something I constantly overlooked. Now, this is what Koi looked like in his debut for Red in the Phantom Castle. Unfortunately, this version of Koi actually stayed through the Cursed Isles as well, which is upsetting because that was a big game and a lot of people played it. But yep, this is what Koi looked like for 2 years over the course of 2 games. Jumping 1 year later, we have the upgrade of Koi. Now, you'll notice quite a vast difference. For one, his fins are nicely designed. He's got a lot more designs all over his head and body. For instance, he's got these fins here. His eyes aren't just black circles anymore. He's got proper eyes with eyelids and pupils. He's got 2 unmovable eyebrows that, yeah, I dislike. I really dislike this version of Koi, and for quite a few reasons. One, I hate this arm. I know it's kind of reminiscent of his old Finn, and it's kind of more detailed, but it looks weird, and it's so difficult to make him express emotion with his hands when they look like that. Now, he does still have his fisherman's trousers and his little grey Finn boots, which, you know, work pretty well. He does have a couple of straps that his current model doesn't actually have, and that's because this is an older version of Koi technically. If you've seen any of the animations, they all take like place 4 years before any of the mainline series of games, so he's actually quite a bit older here. However, even if we were to age up his current model, it would not look like this. Ta-da! This is the boy Koi that everyone is used to now. This is what you see in the animations. This is how he looks currently. His whiskers have been dramatically resized. They're no longer massive. His skin is less shiny. It does still have a shine, obviously, but it's just not as like over the top. His orange has also been slightly lightened and made more cartoony. He still has the detail in the fins. The eyes are made bigger for more expression. Biggest difference in this one is that he has hands. Now, the hands to me are just so much better. The only thing that I would change, and you can't really do this because of the way that the hands work in Dreams, is I would probably add webbing in between the fingers. That aside, this is the ultimate version of Koi. And funnily enough, he's actually based on his paper version. So he originally looked like that, and then I realised that standing this Koi next to Red and Finn made him look really, really strange. So having this version, it fits in so much better, and he looks adorable as well. Okay, this one's a treat. Going back to 2020, this is Finn. This is how Finn used to look. A little grumpy duck. He had his three-pronged hairs, his little fuzzy tail, and that was about it. Now, ironically, Finn's design hasn't really changed. It looks so much better now, but he's still just a blue duck. He's got a lot more detail now, as we're about to see, but this is where he started. So he originally didn't have fingers. He had almost what looks like PS1 hands that are shaped, but again, expressionless. Oh, and his eyes protrude out now, so the whites of his eyes come out, versus the new model, the new model, the eyes, the whites are within his head. Now, he still has the eyebrows, but he's just not as angry. His head get reshaped. He has a lot more detail, for instance, the feathers on his cheek, the feathers in the back of his head. His hair is a lot kind of wavier now. His tail has got a bit more detail as well, a bit more feathers to it. He's got some kind of protruding feathers out the back as well. So you'll see that the design hasn't changed. And I know that's strange saying that when he looks like that from that, but he's still just a blue duck, you know? He hasn't got any clothing. He hasn't got any like gigantic features. It's really just been adding detail to him. Now moving on to Frogo. Frogo, I think, has been the most difficult character to make. Now this is 2020 Frogo. Now you might look at him and think, oh well, he's not changed. He has gotten better. So originally he does kind of have that 6 o'clock shadow of like hair around his face. He's kind of got wrinkles up here, which I decided I didn't like. His hair is less detailed. Now obviously I can go in and I could add the detail to the hair, like, because that's just how Dreams works. You do a couple of buttons and it becomes a bit tighter, but this is how he looks within the game, so this is how I'm going to keep him. Now my biggest issue with Frogo, and currently as you'll see, is the boots. I am terrible at making boots on characters. I really am. It's just a crutch of mine. Doors, ceilings and boots are just, they're too much for me. Now, you know, he definitely appears a lot more youthful. He's kind of got 3/4 lengths that show off his gigantic calves. Boots are still an issue. They've got little buckles on the side now. His hair actually looks a bit more like hair now, and it looks a bit nicer. Ignore that line, that's actually the spotlight. It's not part of the actual hair colour. But yeah, he's got a much more youthful appearance. He doesn't have the wrinkles. As you can see, he still has the belt, the khakis almost. And to be fair, it should also be noted that all the versions of the characters from like 2020, they're actually supposed to be aged up versions. So if they're from 2020, they're technically 4 years older than their current model. So this is Frogo, 4 years older. However, I don't think Frogo would have the old man lines quite that early. Next, we have Queen Solace. This is what Solace looked like back in 2020. You cannot gesture with the hands. The boots. Now I know I went and said I'm terrible at boots, and these boots actually look good. These boots are not my boots. These are just random boots that I have taken from the store and stuck on the peg legs. But you can still see that it's her. It's still Solace, but you know, just 4 years ago Solace. A year later, bada bing bada boom. Definitely looks better. It's still not ideal. She's still got the taken hair parts, so like these parts here are still the hair. For whatever reason, she's got a big cut bit back here. Now this is Solace during the Cursed Isles. and spoiler, she's not in a good place. You know, some bad stuff happened, so she's not in her actual dress. Everything's kind of ripped and ruined. Now, another year later, boom, this was for the remake of Red in the Phantom Castle. So this is Solace here at the start, and here are the same like version. This one's actually a year older. She's got her long dress that flows really well when she walks. She's kind of got her magic armaments that go across her sleeves and body. And then finally, boom. This is our most recent version of Solace, and technically it's actually our youngest version as well. This is 4 years before the original one, so she's very young here. She's only got one of the magic armaments on her wrist. Her dress moves really nice when she's walking. She's kind of got the puffy sleeves and the kind of I don't know what this is called, but the ruffles that come out at her gloves and stuff like that. She also wears a crown. I don't know why no other version wears a crown, but you know, her eyebrows have a bit more detail in them as well. Her eyes have the colour. She does have blue eyes. But yeah, this version of Solace is definitely the best one. The hair was made entirely by me, and this is the version that you're probably used to seeing in the animations. Now it is time for the main boy, Red. Let's see where he started. This is 2020 Red. He has big balls for hands. Because I couldn't make hands back in 2020, I actually changed it that Red wore mittens rather than gloves. Something that I've rectified since then, but you know, that's how it was. His cloak is just a really bad sculpt that's got like zero detail in it, so you can kind of see through it. His boots, again, just lacking detail, everything lacking detail. It was good for a first attempt, but it doesn't look good, and it didn't show off Red to the fullest. Now, going a year later to the Cursed Isles, you'll notice there is a bit of a dramatic improvement. The head shape is a lot better, however, his hair is still horned. In fact, I'm pretty sure it's still the exact same head. It's just Dreams allowed you, see all these like dots, the specks? Dreams eventually allowed you to get rid of that, which is why his head looks smooth now. His eyes are better. His cloak is an actual cloak now, see it flows. His hands during the Cursed Isles were actually individual sculpts, which is a nightmare looking back, but you know, it worked at the time. So he can't emote with this hand. It would have to like keyframe out and keyframe in a brand new hand, which again, as you can imagine, was a nightmare. Now he's still in his grey, however he's got wee black boots now instead of like grey. Now again, this was an oversight. Red loses his colour in the Phantom Castle. Everything gets turned black and white. He loses his colour. The only thing that has colour is his cloak. When he regains colour, he's supposed to get colour back into his boots and shorts. However, I never knew what colour I wanted them to be, so I never changed it. And then, you know, it just stayed for the longest time. However, in his newest and most current model, Red is now fully upgraded to where he should be. He's got the red outline as best as Dreams could give him it. It's not perfect, but it's better than not having a red outline whatsoever. His boots, he's got wee adventure brown boots, got nice big puffy gloves that are a different material to that of his skin, so it actually looks like he's wearing gloves versus the gloves and the skin just kind of melding. Now, I really didn't know where I wanted to go with his shorts, so I ended up just giving him like a really kind of grey blue pair. And in his most recent model, I gave him his strap so that he can carry his sword. It's really nicely designed. It's kind of got like, it's supposed to have that kind of leather strap feel to it where he keeps his wooden sword. That is his most recent model. And this right here is the team all together. This is how they look. I'm really happy with how they look, how they move, and the feel of them. The animations that are coming out are only going to get bigger and better, but we've got one last surprise. They all have a Paper Mario style variant, so a 2D variant. This is their paper variants. Now, I'll be honest, Finn and Frogo were kind of last minute designs. I don't 100% like how they look, but they're close enough. However, Red, Solace and Koi, they have been fully designed for this, and I'm pretty pleased with how they all turned out. So, that's that. That's all the character models. That's how they used to look, and that's how they look now. So, if you are an aspiring sculptor or artist or animator and you think where you are right now is not good enough, trust me, it never is, and you will get better. I thought when I first made the models that they were the best thing ever, but I was obviously as well just happy to see my characters be in front of me. But yeah, as time goes on, you'll get better. Everyone always does. It takes a while. You've really just got to decide what you want to see and go for it. Never... there was a few times where I made concessions for time, which was a foolish mistake. Never let time be a factor when making something. Make it to the full extent of what you want it to, rather than try to push something out. But yeah, thank you so much for watching, everyone. I hope you had a good time watching. I will see you Wednesday for the new set crafts, which is hosted by Red this time. I have managed to find a way to make the Red model from Dreams be a VTuber style, so he'll be able to host a lot more videos, which means you won't have to look at my face anymore, which, let's be honest, can only be a good thing. Other than that horrible insult to myself, I hope you have a nice day, and I'll see you later. Bye.